Hello, I'm Mitra Sorrells in the PhocusWire studio, and I am joined by Erika Moore. She is Chief Officer of Travel Supply at TravelX. Welcome.
Thank you, Mitra. Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Glad to have you here. So tell us a little bit, what is the value proposition that you would say TravelX brings to the travel ecosystem?
So I think that what's really exciting is we're really looking at transforming what would be the infrastructure for retailing and distribution. And when you think about, right, what blockchain actually enables, right, our promise is to really make a better experience for the customer, right? If you think about it, and when we talk about retailing, you'll be able to actually own your travel ticket. You'll be able to transfer it. You'll be able to give it away without any restrictions, right? You'll be able to publish it on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp. In fact, we are already live. So this ability to remove all friction from the travel experience and to actually have and own your ticket is really very powerful. So there's that from the customer perspective, right? If there's cancellations, if there's anything that takes place, you no longer have to call the airline. It's all automatically updated within your ticket. And again, you can transfer it, you can give it away. So that's kind of one piece of it, the really cool and exciting piece that we really believe will transform the entire ecosystem. But then bringing it down to kind of the airlines and what's in it for them.
Yeah.
There's always been this thing for the airline about having control and really being able to own the customer. So what we're able to do is through the technology that we're enabling and the infrastructure is the airline will be able to actually control the way that this ticket is transferred or given away. And every single time that transaction takes place, there is incremental revenue for the airline. So if you think about it, there had always been sort of this limitation from airlines about releasing control because they didn't want to lose control of the revenue. Well, that's no longer the case.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is there's a huge case for cost reduction. So the first airline with which we went live, and it's no secret, it's Flybundi. It's an ultra low cost carrier in Argentina. They are actually seeing that there is this use case of really being able to eliminate cost because you're no longer having to service these tickets. The market and the ecosystem takes care of things on their own because you can transfer, resell, etc.
Yeah, it's really interesting. As I'm hearing you talk about that, it actually sounds like it's more control and kind of power for the airline and more control for the traveler at the same time.
Yes.
The thought of not having to call an airline to deal with a change.
Amazing, right?
Sign me up.
Yes.
Yeah, so, wow. So this is all powered by blockchain. That's kind of the key piece there that makes this all possible.
Yes.
Explain a little bit about that. I know it's a very complex topic, but...
So I guess the best way to explain it is that the beauty of it is that the only thing relevant about blockchain, and I'll go into that in a little bit, is that it enables these use cases to take place and this way for the ecosystem to interact.
Okay.
But the beautiful thing is, and this was mentioned earlier in one of the sessions, is that no one needs to know that it's blockchain.
Right.
That's the beauty. And that's when real technology is working. They kind of mentioned, when the internet took off, no one really knows, right, what's behind or what was going on behind.
It just works.
It just works. It's the capabilities that it unleashes. It's what it enables you to do. So blockchain, what it does is it allows for a secure sort of pipeline, right, for these transactions to take place. So if you think about it, right, what we're enabling, as I said, is I have a ticket and, it's actually live and we've done this a couple of times, is if I send it to you or if I publish it, let's say on LinkedIn, right? And I say, okay, I'm transferring this ticket or I'm selling this ticket, I don't need to know the person that is actually buying it because the smart contracts and the blockchain technology allows for these transactions to take place in a secure fashion without me having to know the other person. So the airline has dictated, right, the sort of the rules under which those transactions take place, and then they can let it go.
Wow. Okay. So, you mentioned a low-cost carrier, ultra-low-cost carrier in Argentina that is live with this. Which is it most suited to that type of an airline, like a smaller, maybe?
Actually, the answer is no.
Okay.
The answer is it's suited for anyone that really wants to disrupt. For there's been great adoption. We actually have we're having now to kind of order the implementation process to sort of have the airlines align. It's really more aimed at airlines that, one, want to really enable sort of a different experience that goes above and beyond. And two, airlines that are really trying to be forward thinking and how they start to approach Gen Z.
Okay.
You know, the lower end of the millennials.
Yeah.
That buy everything through their phone, that just use this sort of methodology of transactions as their regular way of doing business.
Right.
There is definitely a use case for ultra low cost carriers, but I would say what we've seen is that this really acts as a multiplier for the direct sales of an airline. So any airline that has had a primary focus in really sort of enabling their direct sales, empowering that, and channeling that type of activity, there seems to be a larger appetite within those types of airlines, whether they are ultra low cost carriers, or a little bit more kind of on the full service spectrum. It's kind of those characteristics.
So, a blockchain is certainly something, and blockchain-enabled systems such as this, we've been hearing about for several years now. It's been a bit of a slow process.
Yeah.
What would you say what are some of the main obstacles that still exist? And do you have a sense that there's any acceleration there? I mean, is it the kind of thing that once it starts to become used, then it, takes off?
Yeah. I think the timing could not be more perfect, right? What we've been seeing, and throughout this year, we participated in sort of different forums, and we've been talking obviously with a lot of the airlines. There's a huge appetite for disruption and for doing things differently,
Yeah.
right? So initially, you would talk about NDC and one order and kind of this evolution. The nice thing about this type of technology is that it actually sits on top of the regular technology PSS systems of the airlines. So there is no need to uplift everything and disrupt everything to be able to adopt it,
Okay.
which makes it amazing, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a smooth transition to really be able to move to that one order space, making it really easy to kind of walk in that direction. So the timing could not be more perfect. COVID really enabled passengers to sort of demand more, to want more, to
Right.
expect more from airlines. So now being able for an airline to be able to add to its value prop to say, it's not your ticket and you can do whatever you want with it, that's super powerful. So more than, it's not so much a blocker, but obviously airlines do have certain constraints around their IT pipeline, if you will.
Right.
It's not the connectivity in itself, that's not complex. It's, okay, where do I slot in, sort of these projects so that it starts to make sense? So what we've been able to do is really streamline that process and make it extremely simple so that, hopefully we can all move forward. So really exciting.
So if I see you at the Phocuswright Conference next year, then when we're in Florida again, you expect to have lots of news to share?
Lots of news to share, lots of successes, and hopefully, there's just so much that can be done. I love to think about, when you think about if an airline ticket as a product, it has
Right.
a QR code. So on top of everything else that you're able to do, you can then keep on adding things to
Yeah.
that, and it becomes quite unique. But bottom line, if nothing else, it allows the airline to be truly empowered. It allows the customer to be truly empowered,
Yeah.
while generating additional revenues, cost savings, and without having to disrupt your entire technology. So it's almost too good to be true.
Well,
but
it sounds it the way you're describing it there. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely be following. I'm curious to
Yeah.
follow what's happening with TravelX, and look forward to learning more about it. So,
Absolutely.
Erika Moore,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rita. Thank
Yeah.
you for having us.
Thanks.